A house only becomes a target when it looks unattended. Looters don't search for conflict. They search for weakness. An empty-looking home is a promise of low resistance, fast entry, and minimal risk. Your first habit is eliminating that promise. You create a home that never appears vacant, even when you're asleep, away, or operating in silence. Presence is a signal, and you will learn to broadcast it without ever showing your face. You control light the way a strategist controls terrain. Not a steady glow that screams automation, and not a blackout that suggests absence. You use staggered illumination. One room dim, another dark, another faintly active. Lights that shift subtly over time, avoiding repetition, avoiding rhythm. Movement becomes another layer. A curtain stirred by airflow, a shadow falling where no one expects it. A door left slightly ajar. These are micro-signals that disrupt a looter's confidence. They cannot confirm if someone is awake, watching, or armed. And uncertainty is lethal to their resolve. Sound completes the illusion. A chair scraping lightly against the floor. A soft thump. A random noise at irregular hours. You're not creating chaos. You're crafting unpredictability. Looters rely on patterns. When the environment refuses to give them one, they reconsider the cost of approaching. A house that never looks empty is not loud, flashy, or fortified. It is attentive. It is alive. It forces the intruder to ask the question that kills momentum. What if someone is inside? In collapse, hesitation is the most powerful weapon you possess, and this habit ensures every looter feels it before they ever touch your door. A house only becomes a target when it looks unattended. Looters don't search for conflict. They search for weakness. An empty-looking home is a promise of low resistance, fast entry, and minimal risk. Your first habit is eliminating that promise. You create a home that never appears vacant, even when you're asleep, away, or operating in silence. Presence is a signal, and you will learn to broadcast it without ever showing your face. You control light the way a strategist controls terrain. Not a steady glow that screams automation, and not a blackout that suggests absence. You use staggered illumination. One room dim, another dark, another faintly active. Lights that shift subtly over time, avoiding repetition, avoiding rhythm. Movement becomes another layer. A curtain stirred by airflow. A shadow falling where no one expects it. A door left slightly ajar. These are micro-signals that disrupt a looter's confidence. They cannot confirm if someone is awake, watching, or armed, and uncertainty is lethal to their resolve. Sound completes the illusion. A chair scraping lightly against the floor, a soft thump, a random noise at irregular hours. You're not creating chaos. You're crafting unpredictability. Looters rely on patterns. When the environment refuses to give them one, they reconsider the cost of approaching. A house that never looks empty is not loud, flashy, or fortified. It is attentive. It is alive. It forces the intruder to ask the question that kills momentum. What if someone is inside? In collapse, hesitation is the most powerful weapon you possess, and this habit ensures every looter feels it before they ever touch your door. The perimeter is where every encounter begins. Long before a looter tests a window or studies a door, they read the outer edges of your property, the ground, the shadows, the structure of approach. Your goal is simple. Make that approach feel hostile without ever lifting a weapon. A silent perimeter is not about noise. It is about psychological friction. You shape the environment so every step toward your home feels exposed, risky, and observed. You start by eliminating blind access. Overgrown shrubs, abandoned corners, cluttered pathways, these are gifts to intruders. You refine the terrain until nothing provides cover, yet nothing looks intentionally defensive. A yard that forces a person to move in open space is a yard that screams one message: someone will see you before you reach the door. Then you manipulate pathways. You remove the easy routes and leave only narrow channels that force slow, deliberate movement. A looter hates bottlenecks because bottlenecks create vulnerability. When every step forward feels like a mistake, most intruders never take it. Shadows become your next tool. You allow natural darkness to settle where you want it, and you clear line of sight to the places you need to watch. Darkness is not the enemy. It is the canvas. You make sure the darkest zones are the ones you control from the inside. To an intruder, these same zones look like dead spaces where anything or anyone could be waiting. A silent perimeter also speaks through objects: a misplaced rake, a shifted stone, a gate slightly cracked open. These subtle details tell a looter that someone has recently moved through the area. Recent activity means the property is monitored. Monitored property means danger. You are not building traps. You are building doubt. And doubt spreads fast in the mind of someone looking for easy prey. A silent perimeter does not shout. It whispers just loud enough to make them turn around. Darkness is not your weakness. It is your weapon when you learn to control it with precision instead of fear. Looters depend on light contrast to evaluate a target. Too bright, and they know the house is trying too hard. Too dark, and they assume no one is home. Your objective is neither. You engineer a darkness that works for you, not against you. Darkness that exposes them while shielding you. Controlled darkness starts inside the house. You decide which rooms remain dim, which windows stay muted, and which angles allow you to observe the perimeter without being observed. You create zones where your silhouette will never betray you, where you can move freely while the outside remains blind. A looter scanning the property sees nothing definitive. No pattern, no clear activity, no invitation. Uncertainty grows. Outside, the darkness must do two things: conceal your defensive positions and amplify their vulnerability. When an intruder can't tell whether a shadow hides a person, a dog, or nothing at all, the brain fills the void with worst-case assumptions. Fear becomes the intruder's companion long before they ever reach your door. But controlled darkness isn't just about hiding, it's about contrast. A yard too evenly lit makes navigation easy. A yard with patches of deep shadow, uneven illumination, and silent voids becomes a labyrinth. They can't see stepping hazards. They can't see who might be watching. They can't see what stands beyond the next patch of black. And the moment they feel seen while unable to see, retreat becomes their safest option. You are not creating a haunted house. You are creating an information imbalance. You can read their movement. They cannot read yours. In collapse, the winner is whoever controls visibility. With this habit, visibility belongs entirely to you. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the control of it. And in collapse, sound becomes a tactical asset, one that exposes you if mismanaged, or protects you if mastered. Looters rely on noise to assess a target, a house filled with careless sounds, footsteps, conversations, clattering objects, signals disorganization, distraction, and opportunity. But a house that radiates disciplined silence sends a different message entirely. It suggests restraint, awareness, preparedness. You begin by eliminating internal echoes. Loose floorboards, hollow doors, cluttered hallways. These amplify your movements and turn every step into a broadcast. You modify your environment until your presence becomes invisible within your own walls. When you move, no one outside hears it. When you listen, you hear everything. This silence is not fear-driven, it is strategic. Once your internal noise disappears, you use external silence as a pressure point. A looter approaching a home expects ambient signs of life, a dog barking, a distant conversation, a routine thump of activity. Absence of these sounds is unnerving, but not enough to deter. What deters is inconsistent silence. Moments where the environment suggests someone is awake but refusing to reveal themselves. A subtle shift in the house, a faint vibration through a wall, a soft click where no click should exist. These aren't threats, they're irregularities, and irregularities create doubt. Doubt disrupts momentum. Momentum is what every intruder depends on. When they lose it, they hesitate, and hesitation kills their confidence. Your silence becomes a psychological trap, one that forces them to ask whether they're being watched, tracked, or lured into a mistake. They cannot confirm your position. They cannot confirm your strength. They cannot predict your response. In warfare, uncertainty is more powerful than firepower. And in home defense, silence is the weapon that delivers it. Predictability is the silent ally of every intruder. When they can map your habits, when you wake, when you sleep, when you leave, when you return, they don't just observe you, they schedule you. A predictable homeowner is an unlocked door waiting for someone patient enough to walk through it. Your task is to break that pattern. You create a rhythm that cannot be charted, a life that refuses to present a stable timeline. This is the habit of predictable unpredictability. You begin with your movement. You vary your hours, your lights, your internal noise, your external signs of life. Not dramatically, not theatrically. Subtle shifts that prevent any observer from creating a reliable model of your behavior. One night the light in the kitchen stays on late. Another night it stays dark. Sometimes you leave through the front door. Sometimes the side. You let nothing run on a schedule that a stranger could exploit. Looters study routine. When no routine exists, their strategy collapses. Next, you alter your presence signals. Open a curtain at inconsistent hours. Move an object on the porch without pattern. Change the timing of when the trash goes out. These are micro-adjustments that destroy predictability. To the casual eye, they look like normal life. To the observant intruder, they look like chaos. And chaos is danger. But you do not stop there. You also weaponize absence. Some nights appear active, others appear dormant. Some days show movement outside, others show nothing at all. You're not trying to confuse everyone. You're trying to deny a looter the one thing they need most: certainty. In collapse, certainty is fuel. Remove it, and even the boldest intruder begins to doubt their timing, their assumptions, and their odds of success. A home that refuses to fall into a routine is a home that cannot be predicted. And what cannot be predicted cannot be safely targeted. Your unpredictability becomes your shield, long before conflict ever has a chance to reach your doorstep. Value attracts violence. Looters do not risk themselves for uncertainty. They risk themselves for reward. The higher the perceived value of your home, the more justified the intrusion becomes in their mind. Your objective is simple: erase that perception. You cultivate the habit of projecting low value, even when the reality inside is the opposite. This is the low-value mirage. It starts outside. A pristine exterior, polished vehicles, decorative lighting, high-end furnishings. These are visual cues that scream profit. You strip them away. You maintain functionality, not luxury. Your home should look lived in, not lucrative. Grass trimmed, but not manicured. Tools stored, but not displayed. Vehicles present, but never gleaming. Looters don't want effort. They want payoff. Your job is to make them assume there isn't one. Then you eliminate signals of abundance. No visible electronics near windows. No packaging from expensive items left at the curb. No obvious signs of upgrades, renovations, or wealth. A home that flashes prosperity is a beacon. A home that blends into the environment becomes invisible. You continue the deception with behavioral cues. No loud celebrations, no displays of new equipment, no habits that reveal incoming supplies. Even your energy usage, lights, appliances, airflow, stays modest, controlled, unremarkable. You do not want your house to stand out in any category, positive or negative. You want it to disappear into the noise of the neighborhood. But the illusion of low value isn't just about removing signals. It's about replacing them with the right ones. A slightly older door instead of a reinforced steel upgrade. A weathered mailbox instead of a shining new one. Items that suggest limited means, limited goods, limited reward. These cues whisper to an approaching intruder. There's nothing here worth bleeding for. And when desperation rises, that whisper becomes a wall stronger than locks or alarms. In collapse, you don't win by looking powerful. You win by looking unprofitable. A home no looter wants is a home no looter touches. Human presence is the strongest deterrent in any collapse scenario. Looters avoid conflict when possible. They avoid numbers even more. A house that appears occupied by multiple people, alert, awake, and unpredictable, becomes a battlefield in their imagination long before they ever approach the door. Your task is to create that illusion without exposing yourself. This is the habit of engineered presence. You begin by manipulating movement, not constant, not theatrical, subtle signs that more than one person circulates through the home. A door closing softly at an odd hour. A curtain shifting in a different room than the one you occupy. Shadows that appear briefly, then vanish. Each signal suggests activity in separate locations, implying multiple occupants. Looters recognize the risk immediately. Next, you manage sound. Not noise, presence. A footstep upstairs when you're downstairs. A faint thud from the garage. A momentary disturbance in a part of the house no single person could occupy at the same time. These sonic cues operate on instinct. The intruder's mind maps bodies where none exist. Numbers become unknown, and unknown numbers mean unknown threats. Then, you reinforce the illusion with environmental cues. Shoes positioned in different sizes near the door. A second cup left on a table. 2 chairs slightly displaced instead of one. Small artifacts that signal a household, not an individual. None of these items confirm anything, yet all of them imply everything. The message becomes unmistakable. This home is not alone, but the most powerful layer is the illusion of readiness, not aggression, readiness. Slightly shifted blinds, as if someone recently looked outside. A light turned on in a room no one appears to be using. A gate left ajar just enough to imply someone walked through moments ago. These micro-signals tell a looter that someone is awake, alert, and capable of responding quickly. Intruders want predictability. Multiple unseen occupants erase it. They want control. A home that feels inhabited by an active group steals it. They want low risk. Your illusion creates high threat. When they can't determine how many people are inside, when they can't locate them, when they can't guess their level of preparedness, the calculus changes, and the safest choice becomes retreat. In collapse, numbers don't need to be real. They only need to be believable. Presence, engineered, amplified, controlled, is the force that keeps violence away without ever showing a weapon. Survival is not defined by how well you fight. It's defined by how rarely you're forced to. In collapse, every confrontation carries a cost. Blood, resources, time, attention. The true practitioner of home defense doesn't wait for the fight. He prevents it. The 7 habits you've learned are not tricks, and they're not theatrics. They form a doctrine, a complete behavioral defense system that shifts the battlefield before the enemy even arrives. You turn your home into a place that rejects intrusion, not through force, but through perception. A house that never looks empty denies opportunity. A silent perimeter denies comfort. Controlled darkness denies visibility. Noise discipline denies information. Predictable unpredictability denies planning. The low-value mirage denies reward. And the engineered human presence denies confidence. Each habit strips away something essential to a looter's decision-making process. Not one of them promises absolute safety. Nothing does. But together, they reduce risk to a point where most intruders won't bother evaluating your home at all. They will move on to easier targets, to louder houses, to owners who never learned what you now know. Defense without violence is not weakness. It is mastery. It means you understood the terrain, the psychology, the signals, and you used them to alter outcomes before danger ever crossed your threshold. This doctrine demands discipline. It demands consistency. It demands calm execution under pressure. But if you apply it, if you internalize these habits until they become instinct, you will create the only advantage that matters in collapse: control. Control of your space. Control of the narrative. Control of whether conflict ever reaches your family. Survival is not chaos. Survival is structure. And now, you possess a structure that keeps looters away without a single shot fired.